All right, here we go. So we are doing number 7 and number, what was the other one? 12? Yeah. 7 and 12. Okay. So let's do number 7. The first thing, it says line L contains the points, so line L contains the points negative 7, 8. Katie, you hit that light for us. That eight's a weird looking. We'll try it again. All right, there we go. And then 0, 5. So those 2 points make up line L. And then point P, I'll put point P right here, is negative 5, and then a big old 32. Now, I'm not going to sit here and count down 32 spaces. I'll just count down, I'll just go down a lot, and we'll just kind of, because this is just a guide anyway, this little graph, isn't it? It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, sometimes it's nice if it is exact, because it'll give you an idea if you did it right or not, but it doesn't have to be dead on perfect. So that's what I'm just going to show you right here. So let's do this. I'll make this yellow. Negative 7, 8. So negative 7, 8 would be about right in here somewhere. Again, see, I'm not even counting, right? I'm not, but I know it's going to be around here somewhere. Would you agree? Right? Negative 7, 8. And then 0, 5 would be a little bit shorter. Would be about right there. Does that look about right? If that's 8, that's going up 8. It's going up 5. Maybe a little higher. But it doesn't really make that much difference, to tell you the truth. This is just a guide. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just to get you to visualize what's going on and what you're trying to find. All right? And point P, let's do this in a different color. Let's go blue. Point P is negative 532. So now this was negative 7, so we'll go a little bit shorter than negative 7. Now 32, which is going to be way up here, isn't it? We'll say about right there. You with me? All right, we want to find the distance from that blue dot point to this yellow line. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make this go where?
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular, very good. All right, and again, this is just to kind of get us to visualize what's going on so I don't get lost in all the numbers, because, isn't that what you were basically telling me before? That you just kind of got lost, all these numbers are flying around, you're not really sure what means what, okay? Having this picture really helps you understand that a little bit better. So let's put the points in here. Let's make that a negative first. So negative 532. And what else do we know? We don't know this point, do we? But we want to find that point. And we're going to call it xy. So eventually we want to find the distance of this blue line, all right? How long that blue line is. But the key to this problem is to find that point. Okay, if you understand your goal, it makes it a lot easier to work your way through all the messiness, okay, of this problem. So in order to find this point is the point of intersection between the two lines. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the equation of both of these lines. Remember that? Okay, so we're going to find the equation of the yellow line and we want to find the equation of the blue line. Which one do you think we're going to do first? The yellow one, yeah, because I know 2 points already on that yellow line, don't I? All right, so I can find the slope, I can find the y-intercept, and then I can find the equation of this yellow line. All right, so let's do that. In fact, I already know the y-intercept, which is kind of nice on this problem. All right, they don't always do this, but what is the y-intercept? It's 5, isn't it? Because that's 0, 5, so that's pretty nice. So really, I don't have to do any work to find the y-intercept. I see it already. What's the only work I really have to do to find the equation of that line? Find the slope. So it's the change in y over the change in x. So it's 8 minus 5, which is 3, and it's negative 7 minus 0, which is negative 7. So the slope of the yellow line is negative 3/7. So now I write the equation of the yellow line, which is y equals negative 3/7 x plus 5. And we put that in a box for safekeeping. Yes?
Could the y-intercept also be 8? Or are you just
No.
choosing 5?
No. There's only one y-intercept to the yellow line because it crosses the y-axis at 5. Okay, 8 is right here, but it's not crossing the y-axis here, though. Okay, because 8 would be here, and the line doesn't go through the y-axis here. It goes through at 5. All right, so that's one line. Now we have to find the equation of the blue line. That might be a little bit more difficult, but we can find one thing that's not going to be that hard. Let's do the blue down here. We can find the slope. Actually, let's make this blue. See if I click on that, it turns the color to blue, and then I can do this. So now let's find the slope of the blue line without hardly any work at all. What's the slope of the blue line? 7/3. Good. 7 over 3. Now, how did I know that? It's the negative reciprocal of this. Good. Okay, you with me on that?
Yeah.
So now all I got to do is find the y-intercept. That's going to be a little bit more work, but it's just a little bit of basic algebra stuff. So let's put it into y equals mx plus b. You could use the point slope form if you wanted to, but I don't know. Creature of habit, I always like to put it in this. Okay. So what are we going to use here? Well, I know the slope, don't I? Just found it, 7/3. What else do I know in this?
The y-intercept and the
I don't know the y-intercept.
Oh, the x and the y.
I know the x and the y. Okay, I don't know the y-intercept because the y would go up here. I'm not really sure where it's going to cross, do I? Okay, but I can figure it out. But I do know an x and a y, and that is -5 and 32. So the y is 32, and the x is -5. And then now we solve for b, okay? And now it's just doing a little bit of arithmetic. Nothing cancels out here, does it? So that's -35 over 3. Oh, forgot the x, didn't we? Oh, no, we put the x here. Plus b. No, we don't need an x there. All right? And then we're almost done, right? We almost have b. So let's find what b is. So how am I going to get rid of this -35 over 3? I'm going to add a 35 over 3. Got it? Goes away. Now what am I doing with this 32 and this thing right here? Adding them together, right? But I'm not going to add it as a 32. I need to change it to something. A fraction, a common what? Denominator. So that's going to be 3, isn't it? Since this denominator is 3. So 1 times 3, 32 times 3. Do that without a calculator. What's 32 times 3? 96, right? It's easy, right? 3 times 3, 2 times 3. Got it? Now, 96 over 3 plus 35. So 6 and 5 is 11. Carry the 1. That's a 12. That's a 1, 3. 131 over 3. A little ugly, isn't it? All right? But that's okay. That's the y-intercept. That's where it's going to cross right here. Whatever 131 over 3 is, is a decimal. It's not going to be an exact number, but it's going to hit somewhere up here. All right? Now, why did we go through all that mess? Just so we could find the equation of the blue line. So let's write it out. Y equals 7/3 x. And what was it? 131 over 3. Okay. And there you go. So there's our yellow line. There's the blue line. So really, the only work was really just solving for the b here. And really, what was difficult about that? It was just finding common denominator and just adding. So if you really, really look at it, the hardest part of this was just finding a common denominator and adding those two things together. And that's really not all that hard, is it? To do that? Would you agree or not? Yeah, I would agree. So now, what are we going to do? We're not done. We still got a ways to go. That's right. We're going to set these equal to each other. Remember, they're both equal to y, so by substitution, we can set them equal to each other. So let's use a different color here. Let's go, I'll go with this pink, okay. And so we're going to set them equal to each other. I always like to put the positive one on the left. And then that's going to equal what? -3/7, right? -3/7 x plus 5. Gets a little tedious in here, doesn't it? All right, because you got a lot of fractions, but just watch. And let's see what we do. We've got to get the x on the same side. So I have to get rid of this x and put it over here. How do I do that? Add a 3/7 x. And that goes away, doesn't it? Then I want to get rid of this positive 131 over 3. How do I get rid of that? Subtract 131 over 3. And that gets rid of that. And now, I'm ready to add some stuff together, aren't I? Now, how do we add this stuff together? Find a common denominator. Okay, so what's the common denominator with 3 and 7? It's 21. And we're doing this when you're in like 5th grade? 4th? Is that when you did fractions? 4th, 5th grade, something? Was it 5th? Okay. So now what do we do? 3 times what? 7. So 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Now, of course, you got x's here, don't you? So let's add them up. 49 and 9. What's that? 58. So that's 58 over 21x. That wasn't so bad, was it? Common denominators are getting better now, right? Get more practice with them. What are we going to do here? That's over 1, correct? So we need to find a common denominator here. What's that going to be? 3. So that's not going to change, is it? What's that going to be? 1 times 3, 5 times 3 is 15. So now it's going to be negative 1, it's going to be 15 minus negative 131. Or you just subtract them and your answer is going to be negative. So what's 131 minus 15? What is it? It's 116? What is it?
116.
116, I think, isn't it? No, because the 1's on top. Okay, so 116 negative over 3. Everybody with me? Okay, we're almost there. We almost have this x. We got to get rid of this 58 over 21. How do we get rid of that? Yep, times it by its flipped. Yep, times it by the reciprocal, multiplied by the reciprocal. So we multiply by 21 over 58. We come over here and multiply by 21 over 58. So that cancels. X equals, is anything, look, 3 and 21, that's nice, isn't it? Because that goes once, it goes how many times? Does that go even? Somebody do that for me. 4 exactly? Do it in.
No.
Oh, it's 2, right, it's 2. Because 58, if I double 58, right, that's 116, would you agree? Alright, so yeah, it goes exactly 2. Wow. Out of all that ugliness, it kind of came out kind of nice, didn't it? So what's that going to be? Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. So that's the x. What did we just find? We just found this right there. It's negative 14. Well, you got to follow my steps. Okay, find out where you went wrong.
I got all the right numbers.
Because look at this point right here. There's no way this point is positive. Hey. There's no way that this is positive 14 because look what quadrant it's in. It's in the second quadrant. You have to go negative, okay? So positive 14 would be over here, wouldn't it? All right, so you know it has to be. Even though this is not drawn exactly to scale, you still have to realize that this is in the second quadrant. It has to be a negative x value. And you should get a positive y value. Now, you can choose either one of these y's to solve for x, can't you? Which one do you want to pick? Let's do this in another color. Let's go this light green. Let's do this one. This is a little smaller, isn't it? So let's use that one. So y equals. Oh, that looks too much like yellow. Pick me a good color here. Let's go this orange. Y equals negative 3/7 times what? What did we say that x was? Negative 14, right? Plus 5. You guys still watching? Alright, so let's do this. Y equals, look what happens here. The 7 goes into this twice. Negative times negative is positive. So this is going to be 6 plus 5, which is 11. So what is this point right here? That's what I got. So there's your point. Negative 14 and 11. All that work was basically just to find that point. Everybody see that? Right, exactly. And that's what happens. When you have this much math going on, it's very easy to make a simple little arithmetic error. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, it will. Yeah, if you make one mistake, it's gonna mess up the whole entire problem. Ah, okay. So now, do I need to do the rest of this? You okay with the distance part of this? Okay. But that was the hardest part, just finding that point, wasn't it? And you throw these 2 points right here in the distance formula, and you have it. You should be good from there. Square root. Square root of 522. Okay. And I'm fine if you leave it like that, to tell you the truth. Alright, you can put it into a decimal if you want in your calculator and get it. Yeah. So let's now do 12.
It's 14 minutes.
But a lot of it was explaining. If you just work the problem straight out without explaining it to somebody, you take half that time. Maybe even less than half the time. Y equals. Which one do you think is easier? From a point to a line or from 2 parallel lines?
Is this problem right now? 2 parallel lines.
This is 2 parallel lines right here.
I
The other,
think it's easier for 2 points.
you like it from a point to a line? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't
Okay. Well, what's going on here? Let's see what's happening.
Don't you basically
Let's
do
graph
the
it.
same thing?
It's basically the same thing, yeah. Whoopsie daisy. Let's start way up here. There we go. The other was from a point. They give you 1 point, and you had to find the distance from that 1 point to a line. This one, they give you 2 parallel lines, and you have to find the distance between those two parallel lines. But eventually it boils down to the same thing, because you just pick a point on one of those parallel lines, so you're really going from that 1 point to a line, so kind of is the same thing. All right, so again, I don't have to be real perfect about this. We'll say that's 9 right there. The slope is 1, rise 1, run 1.
I think I just get confused with like the picking the point.
Okay.
Like exactly.
Well, I gave you a big hint on which points to pick. Do you remember what the hint was? Pick one of the what? Right, pick one of the intercepts. Okay, and this is 3, so we'll put it right there. It's kind of close to each other. And then the slant is exactly the same, isn't it? Because the slope is the same. Because they're parallel. If the slopes weren't the same, they wouldn't be parallel, would they? All right, now what are we trying to do? You're trying to find the distance between the 2 lines. So here is what you were asking. You said you get a little confused about which point to pick. I would pick, you have 2 choices. I mean, you got a million choices, but 2 good choices. All right, I would pick either this one and go from here to here, or I would pick this one. Why? Because they're both y-intercepts. Okay, and then I could go from here to here. Let's do the top one. Okay. And again, it won't make any difference, but we'll pick this one. And so you want to go perpendicular to this, correct? So that little tiny red line right there is what you're trying to find. So what is this point where we started? And that's the beauty of this, using this point right here, is because I already know what that point is. It's the y-intercept to the yellow line, isn't it? And what is that number? 0, 9. 0, 9. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
So now it's really the other problem, isn't it? It's just the same thing, but it's and we don't know this, do we? So that's our xy. So we go through that whole routine again. So what's nice about this is you already know one of these equations. You already know. Now what are you trying to find? You're trying to find this point, right? So you want to find which 2 lines? The red one and the blue one. Okay, find the equation, because this is where they intersect. Don't use the yellow one and the red one, because the point of intersection would be right here. Is that us already?
Yeah.
Is it
Do you want
really?
these different if I choose 0, 3?
No, you could have picked this, but then this is your xy you would have picked.
Do you want that?
But the distance from this point to this one will be the same as the distance from here to here. So you'll be putting different points in your distance formula, but you'll get the same exact distance.
So wait, what's
Can
the
you
homework?
you think you can do the rest of this?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
because then it's
for
exactly what
homework,
we did
have to do
before.
942 all.
Let's see. Yeah, for homework you are doing the study guide. Okay, 9 to 42. That's a lot, but my original plan was to have you working in class on it, but you guys had questions on this, so we took time for questions. If you still have questions on this, go to YouTube and you can watch it tonight if you want.